common challenges that I see when I just take on a new client for coaching, somebody who has maybe never had a coach before, or somebody that can just now afford their first coach, is just misunderstanding of gross profit or cost of goods sold in their business. I've seen so many people, especially recently, which is why I'm making this video, where they think that their gross profit should be 30-35%, or their cost of goods sold should be 60-65%. So really quick definition of this is your cost of goods sold is the sum of all the expenses it takes you to actually do the job. If you are a service industry that has materials, like a plumber, this would be the hot water heater plus the labor. Of course, there's like the gas to get there and like the other supporting things, but mostly it's just labor plus materials. When you are doing a job, you have 100% of the price is going to be given to your business in some way. And if you are budgeting 60-65% for labor and materials for that job, let's just say 60%, there's only 40% left over to pay everything else. Your marketing to get the lead in, to get the job, your sales team, your admin team, your rent, your salary, the admin salary, the whole team, the insurance. Like, there is so many line items that you have to pay the rest of this money from. And then above that, I think it's understandable that most homeowners believe that you are a plumbing company, HVAC company, or whatever, that you should be making a little bit of a profit. When you think about net profit, it's the money that's left over before your taxes and amortization and all those things, EBITDA. The 20% net profit that you want to plan for is not really 20% if you've got debt that you've accumulated that you need to pay back, or maybe you got vehicle payments or liabilities that you have to pay. So that 20% really isn't 20% after it's all done. It's not unreasonable to budget for and plan for a 20% net profit margin. And so the challenge that we're having when I just first on take a new client is them just being completely steadfast and believing that it's gonna cost them 60-65% of a job just to be able to win it because everybody's too sensitive on price or whatever it could be. That just doesn't make any sense. If you're watching this and you own a home service business or a small business in general, I guarantee you there is, if you had a pie chart, a large percentage of the pie chart with companies that are running a 20% net profit margin. Like, it's happening in every single industry. And if you don't think it's happening, go to any forum and ask, because I guarantee you it is. If you are somebody that believes it's not possible, that's all in your head. And so what I want to challenge you to do in this video is to come up, and I'm sure you can Google it or go to ChatGPT and make this video, or get the transcript from this video and make a job cost analysis worksheet. A job cost analysis worksheet is going to analyze how much it costs you to do a job. So if you are a painter, how much does it cost you for the paint and the tape and all the materials that you need to do the job? How much does it cost you for the labor? How much does it cost you to get the lead and close the job, and all the parts and components that are involved in the job itself? And then what's left over. And what you're gonna find is, if you are planning for a 50% cost of goods sold, 50% gross profit margin, and you want a 20% net profit margin, you've got 30% left to pay everything else. If you start to say, okay, I need to go 60% cost of goods sold, which means you have 40% gross profit margin. Now, if you want to pay yourself 20%, there's only 20% left over. So you have to start chipping away at your profit. And the last thing I'll say in this video is, if your cost of goods sold, the cost of goods sold and gross profit are an inverse of each other. So you have a 60% cost of goods sold, you have a 40% gross profit. 60% cost of goods sold, 40% gross profit margin. So they're an inverse of each other. It's the same thing with margin and risk. The higher the margin you're planning for, the more risk that you can have. So if I'm planning for a 20% net profit margin, then I can have a lot of things go wrong in a job and I'm still gonna be profitable. But if I'm planning for a 5% net profit margin, anything that goes wrong, my profit's gone. And if you are a service industry that is selling $5, $10, $15, $20,000 jobs, and you're planning on a 5% net profit, you're working really hard and using a tremendous amount of experience to have 5% where anything goes wrong, you're off. You're wrong in material costs and estimates. Employees call out, training goes wrong, something breaks, warranty, whatever it could be. You are now losing money if you're only budgeting a small, tight margin. Low margin, high risk, high margin, low risk. So I want you to think about, when you price your jobs, your gross profit margin, and then your net profit, how much you want to take for yourself, and then all the other expenses in between. And how can you build a plan? How can you build a budget that's going to allow you to control that gross margin, net margin, and all the other expenses in between? If you can do that, and you can strategize a plan to consistently get a 50% gross margin, 20% net profit, manage the 30% in between, you will have a business that is built to scale. Hope that was helpful. Hopefully it wasn't too nerdy and complicated. I'm gonna make more content about this, but I've become very passionate about profit coaching, and I've seen the people that are doing this correctly are able to scale their businesses tremendously fast. The ones that are struggling are getting stuck. Own this, get really good at this principle, and you will scale your business faster. Thank you so much, have a great day.